Why do I get bloated when I eat? And what causes that bloated feeling in my stomach? How can I relieve bloating through my diet? And are there any specific foods that can cause or relieve my bloating? Now, after weight loss, bloating is the second most common reason why my clients come to see me. Up to 30% of people experience bloating on a regular basis, and for many people it can really seriously affect their quality of life. So in today's video, I will give you my top 17 tips on how you can reduce your bloating with your diet and your lifestyle. Hey guys, my name is Didi and I'm an Irish-based registered dietitian working for my dietetic consultancy, Dietitian. I work both clinically and in a hospital setting, and I provide one-to-one and group workshops to help make evidence-based nutrition information accessible and a little more fun. I also write about a wide variety of nutrition and health topics on my blog, dietitian.com, and I produce a new video here every 2 weeks. So following my recent Instagram poll, bloating came out as your most requested topic for me to cover this year. And as I have struggled with bloating myself for over 10 years now, I do know firsthand how difficult it can be to get evidence-based and even just safe advice on how to manage your symptoms. So I am so glad that you guys are looking for trusted advice on this topic from dietitians. And definitely get in touch if you have any thoughts on more topics that you would like for me to cover over the next little while. So if you are looking for more evidence-based nutrition videos like this one, then please follow and subscribe to my page. Your support so far has really been hugely appreciated. Before we delve into those 17 evidence-based ways to help us reduce our bloating, I think it is quite useful for us to understand first of all what actually bloating is and what may cause it. So first of all, what is bloating? Well, bloating is the feeling of your belly getting swollen. Many people find that it most commonly happens after eating. And bloating can cause feelings ranging from just a discomfort to actual pain, and it's often associated with this sense of fullness. For some people, their stomachs can actually look bigger as well when they're bloated. So what causes bloating? Well, usually bloating is caused by a buildup of gas, and this gas may be air that you have swallowed, or more commonly it's gas produced by the bacteria in our gut. Bloating can also be caused by disturbances in how the muscles in the lining of our gut work. And for some people, this can even be aggravated by stress. Interestingly, for some people as well, the feeling of bloating is actually caused by just being more sensitive to a feeling of fullness in the digestive tract, just compared to some other people. And so some people may feel the pressure in the abdomen much more strongly than other people, leading to this sense of bloating. Now, before we move on with this video, it is really important to be aware that bloating may also be a symptom of more serious medical complications and conditions. So if you do experience bloating regularly and for a longer period of time, it may be useful to speak to your GP about your symptoms. Now, some of these medical conditions, such as irritable bowel syndrome or IBS, may then be managed more specifically through diet. However, it would be useful to speak to a dietitian to guide you through these more complicated diets then, to make sure that you are not missing out on some important key nutrients. I have made several videos about managing IBS actually, and I have the links for those videos in the description box below. So what can I do to reduce my bloating? Now, thankfully, there are a lot of different things that are shown to help reduce bloating. From how we eat to what we eat, our diet can actually make a big difference to our symptoms. Just remember, bloating may be caused by different things for different people. Bloating can be a very personal experience, and in that sense, some people may get more bloated than other people, some people may feel more pain than others, or experience more distension, for example. So that distension is another word for an increase in the size of their stomach. Some people may only be bloated once in a while others experience bloating almost on a daily basis. Also, before I actually move on to more specific dietary strategies with my clients, which is the ones I'm going to describe today, I usually find that the biggest relief to bloating comes first of all from looking at eating more healthily. Takeaways, eating on the go, regular high fat and sugary foods, they can all disrupt our gut health. And so a move to healthier eating by including plenty of fruit and veg, eating more mindfully and cooking at home is usually a great starting place. But when more specific dietary changes are needed, my recommendation is to try only 1 or 2 of the changes at a time and see if that makes a difference for you. Changing too many things at a time can actually be quite stressful. And as I mentioned already, stress in its own right can worsen bloating. So by trying these tips 1 or 2 steps at a time, you can see exactly which of the strategies are actually working for you and which are not. So here are my 17 top tips to help you reduce your bloating with your diet. First of all, chew your food well. So chewing your food well might actually help you to slow down your speed of eating and reduce the amount of air that you swallow. Chewing your food slowly also helps if you're trying to eat more mindfully, which will allow you to taste the food more intensely and actually enjoy your eating experience a little more. Next step, keep a food diary to identify any foods that may be making your bloating worse. So while food intolerances are not as common as you think, it may be useful to keep a food and symptom diary to help you identify any potential foods that may be aggravating your bloating. If any particular foods are coming up as potential culprits, it may be worth talking to a dietitian to see if you are indeed experiencing a food intolerance. My next tip is to keep an eye on those fatty foods and maybe reduce the portion sizes. Fatty foods may slow down the rate at which food moves from our stomach to our gut and then through our digestive tract, and this may especially be a problem for people who are prone to bloating. So consider keeping those fatty foods to smaller portions to help reduce your bloating symptoms. My next tip then is to eat smaller portions and take regular snacks, because eating a large amount of food in a short space of time or eating until you are uncomfortably full can make our feelings of bloating worse. So try to eat smaller portions for our meals and consider maybe having a healthy snack between your meals then to make up for having smaller meals at dinner times or lunch times. Little and often really is key here. The next tip or question really is, are foods high in fibre making your bloating worse? So for many people, eating a diet higher in fibre can actually help reduce bloating that may be related to constipation. So including plenty of fruits and veg in your diet will help food move through the gut more quickly and keep constipation at bay. However, some people may find that too much fibre in their diet actually has the opposite effect to their bloating and might make the amount of gas that they produce a little bit worse. So I suppose test for yourself if adding more fibre into your diet is helping or worsening your symptoms. My next tip is to keep an eye out for a group of sweeteners called sugar alcohols. Sugar alcohols are sweeteners with names that often end in -ol, such as sorbitol, xylitol and mannitol. Now while they are completely safe alternatives to sugar, eating too much of these can cause excessive wind and bloating for some people. We often find the sugar alcohols in sugar-free foods and in chewing gum. So my next tip is to reduce the amount of air that you're eating. Now we already mentioned that we can swallow too much air by not chewing enough. Using straws, talking while we eat, and eating too quickly can actually have the same effect and increase our bloating. Now on top of that, consuming drinks that are fizzy, such as carbonated or fizzy drinks, can produce gas in our stomach as well, leading to further bloating. My next question, are you lactose intolerant? Lactose intolerance is a condition where someone does not produce enough enzymes to digest the lactose we eat. And just to clarify, lactose is a sugar that we often find in dairy foods. Symptoms of lactose intolerance can include nausea, bloating and diarrhea, of course after eating or drinking foods high in lactose. Now it is important to be aware that many people with lactose intolerance can usually still tolerate lactose in small amounts. And often dairy foods such as your yogurts and cheeses contain lower amounts of lactose than milk. So if you think that you might be lactose intolerant, consider reducing your portion sizes of milk and test to see if you can tolerate those yogurts and cheeses better. Now lactose-free options are also widely available in Ireland, so these may also help you to manage some of that bloating if you are lactose intolerant. Next, if you struggle with constipation, get plenty of fibre, fluids and exercise. Constipation can both cause the feeling of bloating itself by increasing the pressure in our gut and can make it more difficult to pass any gases produced by our bacteria. Now do speak to your GP if you struggle regularly with constipation and try to make sure that you get enough fibre and fluid in your diet. Regular exercise is also shown to help move food through the gut more easily and so can help relieve constipation. Next, consider trying a probiotic. So our gut contains over 1 trillion bacteria and these little guys play huge roles in our digestion, in our immune system and possibly even in our mood. Sometimes our gut bacteria can be disrupted by things like infections and antibiotics, and a buildup of gas-producing bacteria can then lead to plenty of wind and bloating. Now probiotics are food supplements that try to bring more of those healthy bacteria into the gut, and so they hope to reduce the amount of the bad bacteria that can produce gas. Some people are finding that using a probiotic may indeed help them to manage their bloating, but often there is a significant price tag involved in taking the probiotics, so it's completely up to you if you see this as something you wish to try. So my next tip would be that some people find that peppermint can help with bloating. Peppermint in the form of peppermint tea and peppermint capsules may help to reduce the cramping feelings and the pain that people often get with bloating. Another thing to look at is to review your lifestyle, because stress and a lack of sleep are also linked to bloating. People often turn straight to their diet when it comes to reducing their tummy troubles, but it is really well worth your time to find ways to help you manage stress and improve the quality of your sleep. I actually made a video last year on my top tips to help you sleep better, and so I've linked that video in the description box below for you as well. Another tip would be to try adding linseeds into your diet. So linseeds, also known as flax seeds, are a great source of soluble fibre, and on top of that they also contain some of those lovely healthy fats, vitamins and minerals. Now they are indeed shown to help relieve symptoms such as tummy pain and bloating, especially in people who are prone to constipation. One little word of caution: build up the amount of linseeds you eat in a slow and gradual way, and try to stick to a maximum of about 2 tablespoons a day. Now another question that might be worth asking is, should I eat more or less spicy foods to reduce my bloating? Now, spicy foods are definitely aggravating bloating for some people. However, a small recent study did find some potential improvements in pain symptoms for people with bloating who took a capsicum capsule, which is a component of spicy peppers that makes them so spicy. So again, try for yourself to see if spicy foods are potentially improving or worsening your symptoms. Now my next tip is that reheating some foods can make your bloating worse. So some foods such as reheated pasta, rice and potatoes can contain a relatively high dose of resistant starch. While this type of starch has been shown to be useful in feeding your gut bacteria, both the healthy and unhealthy, they can also cause some excess gas to be produced for some people. So if you do struggle with bloating, try to consider eating more fresh rather than reheated or processed foods where possible. And my next tip is to try include fermented foods in your diet. Now this is obviously a really big hype, and some people are finding that fermented foods such as yogurts and milk kefir is helping to manage their bloating. As some fermented foods contain live bacteria, they may actually act like a probiotic, helping to populate the gut with those useful bacteria. Now while there has been some concern about the food safety side of home fermented foods, we generally see that fermented foods have a good safety record. And including regular yogurt and milk may not just help reduce our bloating, but also provides us with a really valuable source of calcium. So all the more reasons to give it a go. And my last question of the day, is coffee and tea increasing your bloating? Now caffeine is a stimulant found in various drinks including your coffee and tea, and some people find that caffeine can worsen their bloating and pain. Now we generally recommend drinking no more than 3 cups of coffee if this is something that you also find you're struggling with. So guys, that was my top 17 tips to help you manage your bloating symptoms. I hope I've been able to answer some of your key questions in enough detail today, but of course feel free to continue asking your questions or get in touch to clarify any more specific points. I will try to respond either via a personal message to you, or maybe I will try and cover your question anonymously, of course, in an Instagram story. Now if you like this video, please let me know down there with a thumbs up or a little heart, and a little positive comment below is also appreciated. And for more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel and click the little bell button on my channel page to get notified when my next videos come out. Thanks so much guys, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Bye!